Okay, we are recording. We are ready to go on this Wednesday. Woo! Okay, ladies and gentlemen, hello. So, answer keys for all of your worksheets are posted under that day's assignment on Google Classroom. You need to make sure that you are going through your worksheets and comparing it to those answer keys, okay? Because when I check your work, I don't grade it. I just make sure you tried it, okay? And especially on the diagramming, I noticed that pretty much everybody had at least one or two or more incorrect. Okay, so make sure that you're double checking your work, and if you're not understanding why something is the way that it is, that you're coming and talking to me and getting that help before your test a week from today. Okay, your test is officially next week, Wednesday. On Google Classroom, I also posted the test so that it'll appear in your to-do list. And on that test post, I think I just called it like grammar test or whatever, I posted a study guide for parts of speech. Okay, so it's just like basically an extra worksheet over all of the different parts of speech. That'll be a really, really good tool for you to use to study for your test on Wednesday. And the good news is you guys have a long weekend because we don't have school on Monday, so you have plenty of time to study for the test, and then we'll do a review on Tuesday when you come back in preparation for the test on Wednesday, okay? The final thing that I'm going to help you guys with as far as studying goes, I'm posting extra assignments on noreading.com that will cover subject-verb agreement, and it'll also cover pronouns, which we're going to talk about tomorrow and Friday. Okay, so just know those are all the ways you can study. Checking your worksheets with the answer keys, completing that extra study guide I posted under the grammar test assignment, and then doing the extra practices on no reading. Okay, so lots of study tools for you guys, and then of course my door is always open, so you guys can always stop by and ask me questions too. Any questions on any of that so far? Okay. All right, so we are getting back into our subject-verb agreement for today. I know yesterday was kind of a rough day, but hopefully today is going to be a little bit easier as far as subject-verb agreement goes. So we're just going to kind of pick up where we left off. And we're going to keep talking about different types of subject-verb agreement that you guys are going to see. Okay, so make sure you're continuing to fill in your notes from yesterday, and again, I will post this on the classroom. So, the first question I have for you today is, what are collective nouns? We talked about them way long ago when we were doing nouns. Very first lesson of grammar. So, see if you can remember, what are collective nouns? Yeah, let's try to finish in time. Alright, not too shabby. Most of us got it. So the correct answer was B. Collective nouns refer to groups of people or things. Okay, so examples of collective nouns would be class, team, club, family, flock, staff, crowd, etc. Right? They're referring to a group of people. It's a collection. Right? Collective nouns, collection. Now, when we're talking subject-verb agreement here with collective nouns, when a collective noun, there's like two rules that you have with collective nouns, okay? And the trick is you have to look at how the collective noun is functioning. So when the collective noun refers to a group working together as one unit, the collective noun becomes singular because they're working together as one, okay? So, for example, if we had this sentence, in 1911, a robbery team steals the Mona Lisa. Okay, so team is our collective noun subject here. And in this sentence, this team is working together to accomplish something, which is, thievery, but, whatever. That's besides the point. Okay, but they're working together as one unit. So that means that they are singular and they need a singular verb. And singular verbs end in S. Hey, somebody's awake this morning. Okay, everybody else. Singular verbs end in S. Okay, so that's why we have the verb steals, right? It's singular. We know it's singular because it ends in S. And it's singular because this collective noun is functioning as a singular unit. Does that make sense? Can I get like a verbal or a visual? Does that make sense? You guys with me? Yes? No? Maybe? Okay, cool. All right, now I'm going to make it a little more complicated. Because you can have collective nouns that don't work together as one unit. So to figure out if the collective noun is working singularly as one unit or separately as a plural, you just have to look at the context of the sentence. Okay, so when a collective noun refers to a group acting as individuals, like everybody's going off and doing their own thing. Okay, I like my finger visual. They're all going off and doing their own thing. They're not working together as one, they're working separately as individuals. So you have a lot of people working independently, then it's plural. So here would be an example of what that might look like. The team separate after the theft. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't think that sounds right. But it is. Okay, and here's why. You have to think it through when you have a collective noun subject. So our collective noun again here is team. But instead of working together as one unit and being a singular unit, they're working individually as lots of people. So that's why they get a plural. Okay, and the plural is separate, right? That's a plural verb. We know it's plural because it doesn't end in S. If it ended in S, then it would be singular, right? Because singular verbs end in, yeah, Auburn, yeah, they do. Okay, so you just have to look at the context of the sentence and figure out, is this collective noun working together as one unit and needs a singular, or are they working individually as lots of separate people and need a plural? Does that kind of sort of make sense? Okay, we're going to practice this. So take a look at this sentence. You first need to find the collective noun subject, and then you need to look at the context of the sentence. Figure out, is this collective working together as one unit and need a singular, or are they working individually and need a plural? Okay, let's try to finish in 5. Hey, you guys did really, really well on this one. Okay, so where is our subject? Malachi? Team. Okay, again, we have that collective noun team. Apparently that's my favorite collective noun because I'm using it for like all the examples, right? So team is our collective noun subject. Now we know when we have a collective noun, we have to figure out, are they working together as one unit to accomplish a task, or are they working as individuals doing their own thing? So what are they doing in this one? Are they working together, or are they working separately? What do you guys think? Show me with your hands. Together or separately? Are they working together or separately? In this one, they're working together, right? Because they're all working collectively to go to practice. They're all working on the same thing. So this one is singular because they're working as one unit. So we need the singular verb here. Which one of these is singular? Is, right? We know that because I gave you that chart that showed you the column of singular and the column of plural linking and helping verbs. You have to memorize that, right? So is our singular verb. So is the correct one here. And most of you got it, so that was awesome. Okay, let's try this one. Again, think of how they're working. Are they working together as one and need a singular, or as individuals and need a plural? Okay, let's try to finish in 5. Okay, I think we're getting it. This is looking really good. Okay, so again here we have the same collective noun because again it's apparently my favorite. We got team again here as our subject, but again we've got to ask ourselves that question. Are they working together as one unit or are they working separately as individuals? What do you guys think? Are they working together as one unit or separately? Show me a few hands. Together or separately? Separately, right? Now, if they were working together, that would imply that they all have the same family, okay, which I don't think is true. I mean, it could be true. You could have a big enough family where you can make a team. Like Mary, your family could be a team, right? You have like a bajillion siblings, okay? But for most of us, we don't have enough people in our family to make a team. So the team is going home separately to their individual families. So here, they're all working as individuals, so that's a lot of people doing their own thing, which means we need a plural verb. So which one is our plural verb here? Shout it out. Are, right? Okay, and we know that because we studied the chart that I gave you, so we know that are is plural. So you do need the are here, and most of you got that. Okay, try this one. Section 5. This one's hard. Okay, so we're split 50-50. Okay, so where is our subject here? What's our subject? Okay? Staff. Okay, staff is the subject. It's a collective noun. Now what we have to figure out is, are they working together as one unit to accomplish a single goal, or are they working separately as individuals to accomplish different goals? Now, I will say, you guys, the context of this sentence is not great, right? It's not great, because you could interpret this sentence either way. So if you thought that the staff was all working together to meet one deadline, then you should have chosen works, okay? Because that's singular, and that means they're all working together to meet one deadline, right? They're working like together on a project. But if you interpreted this as the staff all has their own projects and they're all working separately on individual projects, then you should have chosen work. So honestly, you could choose either here, but as long as your rationale fit with the word that you chose, you get a thumbs up from me. Okay? Is this making sense so far? So this one was kind of a bad example because it could totally go either way. Okay, next up, when we're talking subject-verb agreement, we have to talk about titles of subjects, or titles as subjects, excuse me. So when you have titles of works of art, literature, and music, they're always going to be singular. So for example, if I had the title of my favorite novel ever, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, it's not my favorite novel ever, but it's definitely my favorite in the series. That's like the best book. Have any of you read the Harry Potter series? Just Jacob? Oh, Jacob, you're officially my favorite. I love Harry Potter. I'm obsessed. Okay, so Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. It's the title of a book, right? So it's going to be singular. So it means the singular verb is. Pretty easy, right? And you always want to capitalize titles of longer works. So like books and movies, magazine titles, newspaper titles, they always need to be capitalized and italicized. And then if you have a shorter work, it also needs to be capitalized, but you would put it in quotation marks. So like titles of chapters, of articles, of poems, those are just in quotation marks, just like a sidebar, okay? When you have any sort of measurement, weight, number, or a length of time as your subject, those are also usually going to be singular. So for example, if I had 12 years, okay, that's a length of time, so it's going to be singular, so you need the singular verb is. It goes fast. I don't know if you're stuck filling on your open line. And then, what else is next? Let's see. Okay, this is a good tip. You guys might not know yet what the predicate nominative is, but you always want to make sure that your verb agrees with your subject and not your predicate nominative. And a predicate nominative is just a word that renames the subject. Okay, so if you have a linking verb, make sure that you are identifying the subject, not the word renaming the subject. Okay, so here would be like an example of that. The robber's main target is banks. You would want to be careful not to choose banks as your subject, because it's not the subject, right? The subject is target. If we flipped it around and said banks are the target, then banks would be your subject. Okay, so just make sure that you are identifying the subject of the sentence, and that's why I say labeling is so important. If you can label your sentence, then it's easier to kind of see how everything's functioning, and it'll make it easier to identify the subject and the verb. Okay, couple other tips here, and then we're done. This is a really short lesson today. Okay, but you guys need to watch out for inverted sentences. And remember, we've talked about inverted sentences before. That's where the subject comes after the verb. Okay, it's inverted, it's reversed. Or the subject can come in between a verb phrase. So for example, questions a lot of times are going to be inverted sentences. Does the bank want the robbers punished? So bank is the subject and does want is the verb phrase. So who remembers our trick for questions? Does anybody remember the trick that I told you for helping you figure out the subject and the verb in a question? It was a long time ago. Like so last week. Does anybody remember? Aiden, you remember? Yeah, you change it into a statement instead of a question. So we can say the bank does want the robbers punished. Right? Then our subject is coming before our entire verb phrase, and it just makes it easier to find. Now remember, this doesn't work for all questions. Like if the question begins with who or what, it's not going to work. But something like this, it works really, really well. Okay? And then here's another example. Remember our sentences that begin with here or there. Here and there are never going to be the subjects. So usually these are inverted sentences where the verb comes before the subject. So you just have to be careful and ask yourself who or what is the sentence about so that you are finding the correct subject. So here is a book about dumb criminals. Remember to get rid of your prep phrases so that you don't choose criminals as your subject, right? Because it's in a prep phrase. So book is the subject and is our linking verb. Okay, is this kind of making sense? It's just thinking things through logically. Like you guys already know all this stuff. You just have to make sure that you kind of take your time and think it out and remember all of the tricks that I've taught you over the past couple weeks, okay? And then here would be another example. Right by the police speeds the truck. So again, by the police is a prep phrase. So if you get rid of that, right is telling us where it's speeding, so it's an adverb. And then truck is who or what the sentence is about. Okay, so again, just working through those steps logically so that you don't get confused by your inverted sentences. Okay? And I have a final tip for you here. Okay, this is my final note, and I think it's the best one of this entire lesson. If you feel overwhelmed by all of this subject-verb agreement stuff, there's a really simple trick that you can use. Okay? All you do is once you identify the subject, if you say, okay, the subject is singular, replace it with a singular pronoun, like he, she, or it. If you identify the subject and you're like, okay, the subject is plural, replace it with a plural pronoun, like they. Because then it's a lot easier to hear if it agrees with the verb you've chosen or not. So I have some examples for you here. So if this was my sentence, Mrs. Berg and Mrs. Harris is or are English teachers. I have two subjects. They're joined by the compound and. We learned yesterday that if you have the compound and joining two or more subjects together, it's going to need a plural verb. So these have to be plural. So if you just replace both of those subjects with a plural pronoun, like they, it's a lot easier to hear which verb you should choose. They are English teachers. right? So just replace the subject with a pronoun, and then you'll be able to hear it a lot easier. Does that make sense? Did I explain that okay? And get like some sort of visual or verbal. Does that make sense? Do you need me to explain it again? Do you have any questions on it? Okay. That's the trick that I use a lot, you guys. If I'm ever stumped, I just replace it with a pronoun in my head. I'm like, okay, this subject is plural, so I'm going to replace it with they. Or, okay, this subject is singular, so I'm going to replace it with it. It's just so easy to hear then which verb you need. Okay? So it's a really good trick to use if you're ever stumped. Okay, we're going to do some practice. So this is just like a combined practice of everything we've learned yesterday and today. So take your time, use your notes, and really think it through. Okay? Find your subject, figure out, is my subject singular or plural, and then choose the correct verb that matches. Okay, let's try to finish in 5. Nice. You guys were thinking it through, and some of you ended up switching to the correct one. You all got it, except for Sargent, who's like hanging out in the middle, and I'm not sure which one he chose. Okay, so where's our subject here in this sentence? Raise your hand if you can tell me. Where's our subject? Jacob? Now be careful, Jacob. You have to get rid of your prepositional phrases. Okay, unlike the fans is a prepositional phrase, and our subject and our verb can never be inside of a prepositional phrase. Okay, so be careful with that. Lauren? Yes. Critics is one, and parents is the other. We actually have 2 subjects here. So we have to look at the conjunction joining those 2 subjects together. Our conjunction is and. When we have the conjunction and joining 2 or more subjects, is it plural or singular? I heard it. Who said it? Albert, say it louder. Plural. Okay, it's plural. You guys got to remember that rule. When you have the conjunction and joining 2 or more subjects together, it's plural, which means we need a plural verb here. And we know singular verbs end in. Singular verbs end in. Okay, this verb ends in S. It's singular. We don't want that one. So we need to choose our plural verb find. Now you guys could have also used the trick that I taught you on the last slide, right? If you know that this subject is plural, replace it with a plural pronoun. They find fault with the popular detectives. You see how that's easier to hear? We wouldn't say they find fault. This doesn't sound right. Okay, so using that tip will really be helpful in some instances. Okay, go ahead and try this one. Finish in 5. Nice. This one's really easy to hear, isn't it? If you say, has you ever heard stories, you sound like a caveman. It just doesn't sound right to us because we speak English, right? We would say, have you ever heard stories? But again, this is a question. If you restate it into a statement, you have ever heard stories, or you have heard. It just sounds right, okay? Good job on that one. Try this one. Let's finish in 5. Got a problem? Who wants to state their case for their answer? Why did you choose what you chose? Mason? But where's our conjunction, Mason? Yeah, what is it though? What's our conjunction? Yep. Okay, you got it. So book and movie are our subjects, right? Mason's logic is that we have two subjects, so we need the plural verb. But if we remember our rule, that only works when we have the conjunction and. We don't have the conjunction and here. We have the conjunction neither nor. What's our rule with that conjunction? Who remembers? Look in your notes if you don't know. I will wait for an answer all day. When you have the conjunction neither nor, what is our rule for determining which verb to choose? Everybody should be looking in their notes if you don't know this. I want everybody's hands in the air. When you have the conjunction neither nor, joining two or more subjects, what is the rule we use to select the verb? When you figure it out, put your hand in the air. Under compound subjects, the rule is number 2 in your notes. So I think that, is that on page 2 or 3? On page 2 of your notes, under the title, compound subjects, look at number 2. That's where you're going to find the rule. Y'all find it? Reading it? Okay, Aiden, can you explain this to us? The one? What do you mean the one? Yeah, what is that called? Starts with an S. There you go. I knew you knew it. Okay, so when you have the conjunction neither nor, combining two or more subjects together, to figure out which verb you choose, you look at the subject closest to the verb, which in this case is movie. Is movie singular or plural? Show me on your fingers. Is it singular or plural? Is movie singular or plural? I'm not moving on until I see everybody's fingers. Everyone. Singular or plural? You gotta show me that you know this. It's singular, right? We're talking about one movie. One movie. So we need the singular verb here. Mason, what's the singular verb? Is. Okay, does that make sense? I would say, you guys, with subject-verb agreement, the compound subjects are going to be the trickiest, especially the ones that are not joined with and. So you've got to know that rule. Okay, we were struggling with this yesterday too. You've got to know that rule. So I would like circle that rule in your notes, highlight it, star it, draw an arrow and say study this. Okay, especially if you got this one wrong. Make sure you're looking that section over. So our choice here is. Okay, go ahead and try this one. Finish in 5. I'm loving this. I'm loving this because it means that we have an opportunity to learn from each other, right? So we're split again. Okay, what is the first thing that you do when you're trying to find the subject and the verb of a sentence. What's the very first thing I've been telling you over and over again that you do? Auburn? Get rid of your prep phrases, guys. Get rid of them. Okay, it's going to help, I promise. I'm not just telling you that to make you do more work. I'm telling you that because it actually helps. So where are our prep phrases here? What can we get rid of? Marcus?
From a small village.
From a small village. Get rid of it. What else? There's one more. And it's an important one. And we've got to get rid of it. Diana, do you know? Diana, don't guess. You know it, girl. You know it. Of these cases, get rid of it. So if you looked at cases as your subject, you probably got this wrong. Because it's not our subject. It's part of the prep phrase. And your subject and your verb can never be inside of a prep phrase, right? We know that. This is why I say, you guys, you've got to think this stuff through logically. Okay, all of these steps that I'm giving you them because they help. Okay, they will help you get the right answer. So if cases isn't our subject, what is? Malachi? Nope. Not man. What's our subject here? All right, Diana's like confident now. She's like, I got this. Diana, what is it? One. What? How can one be a subject? That doesn't even make any sense. What is that? Who remembers what that's called? Yeah, Malachi, I think you got it? An indefinite pronoun. Do you guys remember talking about those yesterday? I gave you that chart, and I said these ones are singular, these ones are plural, these ones can be both. Remember, the indefinite pronouns that end in one, body, or thing are always singular. Well, we have the word one here. It's singular. So which one do we need? Singular verbs ended? Singular verbs ended? So we need this one, right? It's singular, and it matches our singular indefinite pronoun subject one. Think these through logically. Okay, a couple more. Try this one. Finish in 5. Yeah. Here again. We didn't think it through. Okay, be honest. How many of you said that window is the what do you call it, subject? Be honest. Just like show me your hand. You can just be right here. How many of you said window's the subject? It's okay if you did. Because if I glanced in this sentence and I didn't know, I'd say window is the subject. Right? It just makes sense. Because it's right there. But it's not. Why is it not the subject? Auburn!
It's inside of a prepositional phrase.
Yes, Auburn! It's inside of a prepositional phrase. Near a basement window, near is a preposition. Remember, you can be near a box. Okay? Near a basement window is a prep phrase. Do we have other prep phrases here? Lauren? Of broken glass. Get rid of it. Oh my gosh, you guys, you literally only have one word left in the sentence that can be the subject, and it's pieces. Is pieces singular or plural? Show me with your fingers. Singular or plural? Pieces. This is not hard, you know this. Creighton, what is it? Say it out loud for everybody. It's plural, right? There's more than one piece. It's plural. Which verb is plural? Marcus. Lie. The one that doesn't end in S. Lie. Do you see how we work this through logically? Gotta follow those steps, man. I'm telling you, it helps. 2 more. Let's try this one. Let's get 100%. Let's finish in 5. What do you think, Lathan? Yeah, buddy. Ah, away! You got nervous. Okay, there she goes. Bueno. Great job, you guys. This is so good. Both the tacos and the nachos, right? We have subject tacos, subject nachos joined by the conjunction and, which means it's plural, which means you need your plural verb, which is look. You guys got it, and it just sounds right, right? Okay, last one, and then I'm going to be done torturing you. Remember what we do first. What do you guys do first? Lauren, what do we do first? Get rid of your prep phrases. Did you do that? I'm going to answer for you. No, you didn't. Not all of you got rid of your prep phrases. Look at it again before I lock it. Get rid of your prep phrases. Make sure you're finding the correct subject. Finish in 5. Oh, I'm getting close. Where's our prep phrase in this sentence? Santi? Email messages. You guys, messages is not the subject. It can't be. It's inside of a prep phrase. Get rid of it. So what's our subject here? Jacob? Yes, Jacob. Our subject is trail. Is trail singular or plural? You guys know it. Shout it out. It's singular. You need the singular verb. Singular verbs end in S. Provides is your verb. Okay, we're skipping that. Tell me how you're feeling real quick. Homework tonight is the worksheet. Both sides. Okay? Once you answer this, pack it up because the bell's going to ring in like 5 seconds. Alright, you guys are awesome today. Have a great day. Come see me tomorrow morning or after school if you have questions, okay?